Dogman here at one of my favourite places on the planet. So this is Porth Reservoir, somewhere very close to my home. I just live over the hill about 3 miles away, and we've got this beautiful reservoir here which I've grown up on. I've done a lot of fishing here in the past, so I first fished Porth when I was at primary school, so sort of mid to late 80s, and it was first stocked with coarse fish in 1985, I believe. Prior to that, it was always a trout fishery, fly fishery, so it would have had brown trout, lake trout, and apparently it was stocked with rainbow trout, although I've never seen a rainbow come out of here, but it's probably before my time. But I have seen, obviously I've caught browns myself, and there used to be large lake trout in here which are sort of almost like sea trout, and yeah, I've seen those to quite a good size. But as it changed into a coarse fishery, the water became more murky, and it seems that the large trout died out. Porth was built in 1960, and yeah, absolutely beautiful place. I've not fished it seriously for a few years now. It's the sort of place I like to get a season ticket and do some serious fishing on it. But you can get a day ticket here, but you've got to do it online. If you go onto the Southwest Lakes Trust, you can get yourself a ticket. There's the Stilling Basin. I'll go down there in a minute. And then the outlet there, that leads into a little stream that goes out to Porth Beach down at Newquay. But yeah, Porth is a really well-stocked coarse fishery with most species. The only sad thing nowadays, it used to be a epic tench water, but it is the tench aren't here anymore, but there's gigantic shoals of large bream, a big head of mixed silverfish, a good sized perch, and there's a really good head of specimen carp here now, so it's quite a well-known carp water down in Cornwall. Yeah, it's a little scan around. Right, I'm going to start to make a move. I don't know if you can hear me over the noise of the water, but this is the old pump house, because there is a water treatment plant further downstream that I believe has been recently reconnected due to Cornwall's seasonal need for extra water, because Porth was disconnected and all our water came from Reservoir up on Bodmin Moor, but I think demand recently, especially with these hot summers, they've reconnected it. And yeah, this should be supplying the local area again, but when it does supply the local area, the actual water level will go down, but it doesn't look like they're using it at the moment. There's the Stilling Basin. You're not allowed to fish in the Stilling Basin, but it holds big rudd, perch, and there's some good brown trout down here as well. I think there's even a few bream kicking around in here. Sometimes you'll see fish on the surface, but it's a bit murky today. So there's the down wall, big concrete down wall, lovely and safe, unlike that reservoir up country a few years back that was made of earth, I think it was. Getting attacked by flies. What have we got here? Yeah, it's a bit murky. I can't make out any fish for you. Little shed down there. There's the other side of the dam wall. Oh, I can't see any fish on the surface. Normally down here you'll see big shoals of rudd. Like I say, it's very murky at the moment. I think that's a dead, is that a dead bream on the, over there? Probably. Yeah, I'm saying that that's a dead skimmer. About a pound by the dam wall there. Yeah. Nothing to see. And there's the no fishing sign. Not even any fish to look at. So I'm on the other side of the dam wall. One criticism of this dam is that they designed it the way they did. I can see why, but would have been better if you had a bridge right across. Be a lot easier for everybody to move around. But when it was opened, it was fly fishing and they had boats, so I think that was the idea back then. If you want to get around the lake, you can use a boat, but I know a lot of the carp and the match guys really struggle walking their gear around. It's a nice tree line here. For the carp guys, if you haven't fished it, Porth's got areas that fish really well at certain times of year. But I'll let you work that out for yourself. What I can tell you, without getting in too much trouble by the locals, is Porth's basically a sea of silt with stony edges, stony banks that go up to the edge. So basically you've got a stony shelf that will go down into silt. Basically it was a flooded valley. They cut the trees down, flooded the valley, and there you go. It follows the old riverbed. But yeah, what about that for a lovely feature? Lovely tree canopy there. Big old oak tree hanging over the water. The only fish I've seen today are a shoal of rudd by the dam wall there. Some roots here, damselflies flying about. But there's the car park. I'm on the far bank now. There's the car park and the dam wall. Water's getting a bit murky. We used to have terrible trouble with blue-green algae, but that was when the lake used to get very shallow. It would drop. I've seen it half full in '95 in that hot summer, and yeah, used to get blue-green algae blooms and all sorts. But she's full at the moment, which is good. Helps the water quality. They have done some good work up here. There's some better swims these days. There's better paths around, but it's still not a circular walk. It's that's a shame, really. But there is a nature reserve at the top, which prevents a circular walk. So here's the famous Tench Bay. According to anglers I speak to, there's only about one tench left in here now, a little male. Well, he's not that little, he's about 3.5 pounds, but needs a restock of the tench. Since the pike appeared in here, the tench seems to have diminished, but this was one of the premier tench fisheries in definitely the southwest, if not the country, back in the day. You know, we were catching tench to, you know, £5, no problem. That was average, you know. And I had a friend here, he's passed away now sadly, Glyn Martin. He was very good at tench fishing, and he would use the lift method here using sweet corn bread, and then he'd get his 2 feeder rods out and feed the bay up, and used to catch one after another. And he taught my friend Darren how to do it, and then I didn't do so much on the particles. I sort of went straight to boilies, and we used to get a lot on the boilies as well. But yeah, many happy memories here as children and teenagers, and and as adults. So I'm on the far side, working my way down the lake, and we'll soon be coming up to the cattle drink, because we've got cattle fields behind, and there was a water pipe and a trough for the cattle there. That's just around the corner to my left. Let's have a little look at the lake. So here's the cattle drink swim. Put a lovely new staging in here, that's great, and it's even got the grip on it. I like that. Nice margin trees there, which will produce on the right day. And again, you've got more of a shallow shelf here, muddy, stony shelf, then into the sea of silt out in the middle there. But fish will come from the slope, under the trees or off the silt, doesn't really matter. Puts enough good bait in here and get them feeding, you can have some good results. But these days it's avoiding the bream. Years ago the tench would come in on you, but I didn't mind that so much back then, being a specimen hunter, as we used to call them. But I do fish here for bream as well with I've got like a specimen set up, 2 1 3/4 pound test curve rods, and yeah, if you know, put a bed of small boilies out or pellet or particles, you're gonna have some really good bream action. You know, there's bream in here. Double figure fish is rare, but I should think they're in here. You know, it's quite a lot of 4 to 8 pound size bream. You know, it's a good bream lake, and especially if you guys want to use the feeder as well, you can have a lovely mixed bag here. Look at that beautiful countryside. Baling up some straw there, and that is what they used to call the meadow. I don't know if they still call it that anymore, because it used to be a mowed meadow. Now it's sort of more overgrown with trees, but that's on the other side. We'll get to that later. But yeah, being back here is making me want to go fishing. Little sneak peek at the nature reserve and the inlet there. Bit of a sandbar where the inlet comes in. You've got some seagulls. I think there's an egret down there as well. A couple of herons kicking around. Oh, having a little rest in the bird-eyed. Had a bit of a hike. Got the farm up there in the distance, and then you've got the nature reserve down there, which is a paradise for bird life, otters and all the rest of it. The famous 57. Well, it was 57 when I used to fish it as a youngster. I spent many a day of my misspent youth up here. Got a nice big staging nowadays. And there you go. There's a couple of carp anglers on the other side there. You've got the tree line. Very shallow up here, very silty, shallow conditions. And when I came here, I think it was last year, it was very weedy. And the weed seems to have died off this year, which can only be a bonus because it was getting out of control. I don't know whether it's been treated or just gone through one of its natural cycles. But there's the nature reserve, which is, you can cast up there, but there's a string of buoys, so you can't go past those. So I think the buoys have been moved back, because the buoys were over here somewhere last year or the year before, I can't remember now. And it was a sea of weed. But other than those lily pads over there on the far side, it looks to be clear of weed, which is good. Oh, ideal. Yeah, I used to do a hell of a lot of fishing up here in the early 90s when I first got into carp fishing. Specimen hunting back then. I used to put beds of fish meal boilies out, Some of the more experienced anglers taught us what to do. Better boilies out in the middle. Fish over that. You could fish the margins as well, or do a longer cast over if you could. Yeah, used to get shoals of tench come through. You get a lot of tench between 3 to 7 pound. Lots of them, great fun. And then the odd double figure carp. In the winter the tench would stop feeding, you get more carp. That was good. And there was some small carp coming through that they'd stocked. Single figure fish, we were picking those up as well. Yeah, magical times. Used to spend my summer holidays up here. Bit of nostalgia for me today, and definitely making me want to get the rods out. So in my day, early 90s, this was 51, I think, the corner swim with the Pampuses. Got a nice swim in here now, because this one would erode with the wind and waves that would bash into it, but they've put a nice swim there now, nice staging, which has improved the swim. Yeah, so for me this is more of a tench swim. I used to have a lot of good tench out of here, and single figure carp. I never used to get many bigger fish out of here, although nowadays it's quite popular for the larger fish. I've seen big fish come out. I say big when you're back in the early 90s. A 15 pounder is a big fish. But yeah, there's the top end. So shallow water, lots of silt, a bit more stony in the margins, which would throw fish. But yeah, big bed of bait, fish meal boilies, that would get you carp and tench. Now you're hoping for carp, but often getting big shoals of bream come through on you. So don't come down here and use particles or pellet, because you know what you're going to get. So Pixie Point, sort of halfway up the lake. Very shallow stony margins in here, and sort of a stony shelf leading down onto the silt, which goes right up through most of the lake. And yeah, not an area I've done really well out of, but other people have really done well out of this area. Again, casting out into the middle of the lake mostly, although the stony shelves and reed beds will produce at times. But yeah, so that's Pixie Point. We'll pan round back up the lake towards the nature reserve, then move on again. So here's the Kissing Gate, one of my favourite swims on Porth. You've got so many options. You've got a tree line here, which has got boulders underneath the tree roots and everything along there, but some great features for carp fishing. And then it predictably goes out onto mud. But again, you can put a better bait out here and do well for carp or bream. Used to be good for tench as well, not anymore. And you can come round here and create beds of bait out in the middle. The stony margins will fish. I'll come through to this this is sort of a double swim really. You can put a friend in here as well. So out here I've done really well as well, out on the silt beds and margins. Got a couple of coots and some mallards there. But yeah, brilliant part of the lake, consistent all year. Some swims on Porth can be very seasonal, or maybe just when fish are coming through, but this one here, the Kissing Gate, which is on the car park bank, sort of a third of the way up the lake. This one is a good starting point for no matter what angling you were doing really. There's good opportunities for perch and pike along here as well. Just a brilliant versatile swim with different depths, different options. They've rebuilt the staging as well, and got some nice gravel here instead of mud. Very nice. So my trip down memory lane's coming to an end. So this is the stump swim, the stumps. The stumps have rotted out and overgrown. But this is the other end of the tree line of the kissing gate. And there's one swim left. A lot of the swims in the trees have collapsed or been deemed too dangerous to use. But there is one left right in the middle, and then you've got this one, the stumps, that you can fish the other end of the tree line. And again, it's more of a predator swim, this one, perch and pike, and but carp do come out of here, and bream, and you've got deeper water out here. I'm not entirely sure, but it goes down to like 15, maybe 20 foot out in the middle. Gets deeper near the dam wall. But yeah, an interesting swim with good view of the whole lake, most of it. Right, I'm back at the dam wall up near the car park. Here's a disabled swim, first peg, which is ideal. There's the dam wall, deeper water down here. Again, you've got a stony shelf that goes down into silt, but it is much deeper by the dam wall. I think it's 20, 25 foot, something like that, maybe deeper. I've not plumbed everywhere. But out in those depths there, I've done some eel fishing. And yeah, I've had some good eels in broad daylight like this. I've had them up to £4, but they come out to 6 out here, and there's definitely bigger eels in here. So that's something I've done in the past, and there's been some nice shoals of big rudd kicking around. So it's ideal if you don't want to walk very far and do a bit of pleasure fishing, or, you know, whatever. So I hope you've enjoyed my brief tour of Porth Reservoir. Catch you again.